Hello, I'm Ruth and I'm going to be taking you through some really simple but effective printmaking techniques that you can try out at home. First up, I'm going to be taking you through the tools that you're going to need, the tools and materials that you'll need for printmaking at home. Some of these you're going to have at home, but others you might need to buy online, but they're relatively low cost, and there's usually some alternatives within your own home that you can use. So first up, I'm going to take you through the inks that I'll be demonstrating with. The first is a water-based block printing ink in a black colour. Because it's water-based, it does dry quite quickly, so that's something to bear in mind when we're working with it, but it also means that it can be easily cleaned with water and soap. I'll also demonstrate with an oil-based ink. Now this is a Safe Wash oil-based ink by Cranfield, and because it's oil-based, it doesn't dry as quickly and it's a little bit thicker to work with. But also, because it's Safe Wash, it means it can be cleaned with, again, cold water and soap. So you don't need to worry about using any methylated spirits or anything like that for the process. Alongside your inks, you're going to need a few other bits and pieces for working with your ink. You'll need a tray of some sort to roller your ink out onto. So you could use an old tray that you have at home, a piece of glass, piece of perspex, any surface that's not too absorbent. So even a bit of heavyweight cardboard, as long as it's not going to absorb the ink. And also a roller. In printmaking, these would sometimes be called brayers, and there's lots of different varieties, but a simple printmaking roller like this one is perfect for the type of work we'll be doing. You'll also need the surface that you're going to create your image on. So in printmaking, that's called your plate. I'll be working with a piece of perspex that's been cut to A5 size, and it's just a couple of millimeters thick. So that's something that I ordered online. If you don't want to order online, you could use a bit of glass from a picture frame, or if you have an IKEA picture frame, they quite often come with a sheet of perspex instead of glass. So as long as you remove the plastic layer that's over it, that's a perfect surface for working on as well. Alongside your printmaking plates, you're going to need some tools for burnishing. So that's the act of applying pressure onto your print to transfer it from your plate onto the surface that you're working with. So I'm going to demonstrate with a printmaking tool called a baron, which is a bit of board wrapped in a banana leaf in this case. But there's also other techniques that you can use. So I'll demonstrate using the back of a spoon. You can use a metal spoon or a wooden spoon. And I'll also demonstrate just kind of using hands for printmaking. So those are perfectly fine for the processes we're going to be using and for working at home. The surface that we're going to create prints on, I'm going to demonstrate on fabric and on paper. So in terms of paper, I'll use some tissue paper, I'll use some cartridge paper that you might find in your printer at home, and some watercolour paper. But I'll also demonstrate on some Irish linen and some calico fabric. But you could use a cotton, any sort of fabric that you have at home. Really, you don't need to be buying specialist fabric for printing onto fabrics. Alongside the tools that I've shown you, you'll need a paintbrush, a medium thickness, and a jar for some water, a sponge, a pencil and some scissors. You'll also need some kitchen roll or some newsprint paper. Not newspaper, because you don't want to risk the text from the newspaper transferring onto your work. So just plain newsprint, but kitchen roll would be also fine as an alternative. You'll need a mister filled with some water, and you'll need a cloth for cleaning your hands, or possibly some wipes if you prefer. So that's kind of all the tools you're going to need. Most of those are things that you can source from within your own home, with a small number that might need to be bought online. The two types of printmaking that I'm going to demonstrate are working with plants, so foliage that you might gather from a park, from a woodland, from your own garden, both fresh and pressed and dried, and also using household items and stencils to create some nice background effects. So hopefully with those two techniques, you'll be able to create some lovely prints in your own home. So let's get started looking first up at how to use plants to create prints.